Well, really, you're just trying to do what you do. It's not. That we did a tour with SWV, and we would do dates with different. I think we did a show day with Brownstone or something like that, and Escape. But really, we met everybody, and everybody was cool, but people were focused on doing what they do. Everyone had their fans, and we didn't feel like, at least I didn't. I don't, I know we didn't. People who bought our records bought other records, so it didn't feel like, oh, well, if you buy our records, you're not going to buy this record, or if you buy an SWV record, you ain't going to buy a Jade record. I mean, it's just like, I'll buy Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, So we didn't, it was just about focusing on your craft, making sure we gave the fans the best that we could, and minding our business.
So people, there was no going on. None of that.
We really didn't see each other a lot, so we didn't have time for all of that. The business happens so fast. You're pulled in so many different directions, and you really just are craving sleep and eat and food. So, because you're working like a machine, half the time you don't know what day it is and what city you're in, so you don't really have the energy and the time to put into that kind of negativity.
Now tell me about that period on Giant, because Giant was riding high with Color Me Bad and I Want to Sex You Up the year prior to 1991, and they had you guys and Good to Go on the label. So tell me about that period.
Well, with Giant, the good thing about being on Giant is that the owner of the label is Irving Azoff, and he used to be the chairman of MCA, and he manages Chicago. He managed at the time the Eagles, which is a huge rock band. And so he came from a management background. Cassandra came from a management background. So in terms of the way we were dealt with as artists, we were given treatment based on their skills and their background. So they thought about us, even though they weren't our managers. They worked with us from a management spin. You know what I'm saying? Irving now manages Christina Aguilera, Seal, still the Eagles, Don Henley. So, obviously he spent a lot of time with major artists, and a lot of, we got a lot of guidance and information on how to create, a fan base and all those other things based on their expertise.
Tell me about the BET Listening Party album.
Wow, that was interesting. That's BET Listening Party is our live version of Jade to the Max, with some other songs added, some Prince songs. We love Prince. So we recorded that. We were the first ones to do a live album recording with BET. And Cassandra and the executive producers or the executives at BET worked it out so that we had our band, and we rehearsed for 3 or 4 weeks, making sure we had everybody was had it gelled really well. And BET really, not just for the BET Listening Party, but they really have always shown us a lot of love. I can't tell you how many times we were on BET Soul, and when Donnie Simpson and I forgot the other girl. Sherry Carter, when they had their show, and all the other shows, we spent a lot of time on BET. So it was a very good relationship that we had. So we were very happy to do something that everybody could benefit from.
Tell me about the sophomore album.
Mind, Body, and Song. On that album, we decided as a group that we would exercise more of our creative talents, and we would write and produce, and we wanted to have a more to tone down some of the poppiness and add a little more urban sound to it. So some of the ballads and stuff are definitely more R&B and urban, as opposed to the more poppier sound we had on the first album, which we liked. And we still added some pop to the second record, but we wanted it to have a little more urban sound. And we worked with different producers, DJ Pooh and John Halcott, and just Dave Hall. Some really, good producers that were hot, and Mark Rooney and Corey. I'm sorry, Corey Rooney and Mark. Corey Rooney is still I think he's one of the heads of Sony now. But, you know, we had a great experience. We recorded in L.A. and in Sausalito, and, you know, it was a blessing to be able to expand our talents. And, you know, I really, it's my favorite. Outside of Don't Walk Away from the first record, Mind, Body, and Song is my favorite record.
And on that record, Mr. Do-Right is on there, right?
Mr. Do-Right is on the first record.
Oh,
yeah.
Because I remember the video, and the video, like, great, good-looking ladies, you know, micros, compact boots,
getting it happy,
you know, looking good and all that.
Yeah, that was a little overtly sexual, but you know.
Hey, the dudes didn't mind.
Yeah.
Great eye candy.
It was a bit much. Once you look back at it, it's like, okay, you know.
Kind of like, tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, when you're on set, you kind of go with the flow of the moment and that kind of thing, but when we look back at it, we were like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, but it was cool. But I love the song. Wokey Stewart wrote and produced that, so it was good.
Okay. Now tell me a little bit about the book.
The book is called Answers to the 20 Most Asked Questions About the Music Business. And I know it's a long title, but the meat of it is that there are basically about 20 questions that people ask me and the girls and just people in the business who have knowledge. There's certain things that you kind of want to know over and over again. And so I honed in on those questions that people ask me over the course of our careers and what I learned from what I'd known before as an A&R person for Quincy Jones. The book is basically a beginner's how to not only get a career started in the business, but how to create demos, it answers all of the definitions. It gives you the definitions of what the business is about. Any industry that you go in has its own language, and so I definitely and the more you know the language, the more successful you can become. And so there are terms that are associated with the record business and situations that happen in the record business that you kind of have to be in it to even know, because you know it's a different kind of animal. You have no idea how to navigate the music business unless somebody tells you, and hopefully the people that's telling you are really trying to benefit you and not themselves. And so I try to lay it out, and I believe that I've succeeded. I've heard people, you know, say that it's very easy to read. They finally got some real concrete, simple information on the music business and how to have a career, how not to get taken advantage of, what to do in various situations, and in understanding the money part of it, which seems to be the most mysterious. You know, you don't get paid every Friday, so when do you get paid and how do you get paid? And not knowing those things separates the rich ones from the broke ones. Because
we definitely seen that played out so many times in the business. You know, TLC, New Edition, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. So the list goes on and on with all of that stuff. Now, tell me about some of the downsides you've experienced within the business.
Say that again?
Explain to me like some of the downsides you've experienced in the music business.
Well, definitely the lack of financial education that we had. And this is not high finance like you know, it's not complicated. It's just that we didn't know how we got paid, and that's a big problem. So for all of your listeners who are interested in the music business, whether you're a singer, a songwriter, a producer, or you're just trying to get in other areas like radio, and if you're a stylist or a hair person, the part that's most difficult and most heartbreaking about the music business is not understanding how you're paid, how you get paid. And so, you know, for our experiences, you know, we had a record deal that was not beneficial to us. And it was definitely one-sided and towards, you know, financially beneficial to the record company. But everybody's deal is like that. And so sometimes when you're new, you're not going to be able to negotiate the things that you want, all of what you want, but you should be able to get some things that allow you to earn a decent living. But on top of that, there are other ways that you get paid as an artist that if you're focused on those areas, you can still make money whether you get a dime from the record company or not. So those are the things that I wanted to share with people. People always say, oh, don't get taken advantage of, don't sign a record deal. You need to sign a record deal because the record company is a great marketing machine, but you also need to know how you can circumvent being broke.